Rudy got the COVID, thought it could never be. Spent the year boasting it was a fantasy. Rudy got the COVID, one fundraiser night.
So last time we talked together, we were talking about the history of the world and the history of realism, going through from the Venus of Willendorf all the way up to stuff today um, that hits the super realism category, or stuff that looks more real than real. Just happens, a lot of it tends to be ginormous, like that statue there. All right. Excuse me. To make things look realistic, you follow these 5 rules. And if you follow these 5 rules, chances are your drawing abilities will jump like 400%. I mean, from the get-go. Number 1, you draw slow. Slower you go, the more control you have over your hand-eye connection, the better it's going to look. Number 2, details. All right, more details you put in something, the more realistic it looks. It's even like that in cartoons. There are Cartoon Network cartoons, and then there are Disney cartoons. What is the difference? Details. And while Disney cartoons don't look real, they look more real than, say, Billy and Mandy or South Park or, 100 others that you can mention. All right. To see the details you have to draw from life, you have to draw for something that you can see. That's why I was telling you guys, go find an object. All right. In this case, I got a dragon head, I got a wolf head. I'll probably grab something else when I get finished with those two, if I get finished with those two. The key, and this will always let you know if you are messing up, why you're messing up. You're not looking at what you're drawing more on your paper. The more you look at that object, the slower you're going to go, the better the picture is going to be. So if you're drawing something and you go, oh, this looks horrible, it's not your lack of ability. It's you're going too fast and you're not looking at your object. So those are the kind of the 2 key ones. Usually it's you're not looking at your object, you're just staring at the paper. And then that means you're making up details that aren't there and it doesn't look right. So you got to look at what you're drawing. And the last one, don't erase. While comic book artists get to erase all the times because they are constantly sketching, these lines, we're going to try to even slow ourselves down farther and not erase so that we go slower, we get our lines correct. All right. Boom. 5 rules. If you haven't taken a screenshot of those 5 rules, take a screenshot of those 5 rules. I'll give you 20 seconds. Pose your object someplace you're not going to move it. All right. So I'm going to start with one part here. I'm going to start with this wolf's upper ear. I'm going to kind of treat it like a contour line drawing. But I'm not going to have to worry so much about lifting my pencil off the paper. It's totally fine to lift my pencil off the paper. I'm going to pay attention to all of the little folds. In the ear shape. I'm going to look at the outline of the ear as it goes up and it disappears. There's a secondary line that seems to be made up of other parts. And you'll know when you go into your right brain because it becomes harder and harder to talk as you draw. Now, are you going to be 100% perfect the first time? Probably not. But as you go on, you'll get more concentration. You'll get better at this. So really all I'm doing here is I'm focusing on one ear. That's it. And when that ear is done, I will move on to the next part. Now I stopped there for just a half a second for a couple of reasons. I want to make sure, because I'm seeing these two ears as being parallel, that this was the correct height. I see this ear scoops in. I see this part of the ear scoops in. So forth and so on. And as I go, I will change the pressure of my pencil, because some of these lines are lighter and some of these lines are really very dark. It's going to take me a lot longer to finish that head, right? But that's okay. If it took me that long to get done for the entire class, or if it took me an entire class to get just those ears done, I'd rather see ears done well than sloppy, because you're going to get a lot more benefit from trying to make your stuff look right than making your stuff look fast. All right. Speed is only good once you have control. Speed without control is scribbling. All right. So take your time and really challenge yourself. Do the best you can. I'll come back and check the chat every few minutes. I'll do a little more drawing on my wolf. So at least it looks more than just ears. All right. Hopefully I can get that knocked out before class. And if we get done with whatever we're drawing early, grab something else. Pick up something else to draw. All right, guys, get busy. If the image is confusing because it's jumping from eye to eye, what I mean by that is if you close one eye, it looks one way, it looks the other way. If you close the other, try drawing it with one eye closed, or at least spotting your details with the eye closed. That tends to flatten the image and make it easier. All right, so if you get done with all your details and you're like, oh, I did a couple Pokemon, I'm already finished, go back, start applying your shadows, because I think that's going to make this look really nice when we get to that. All right, so shadows, start plopping them on top of your figures or your object. Okay, so as I'm doing my drawing here, I'm also starting to do my shades as we had talked before. I'm going in a soft oval. I'm not doing a lot of pressure. I'm going to slowly build those shadows up so that they become more and more prominent as I go. And that way I'll have control over those shaded areas, and hopefully it'll look pretty good. Hopefully. All right. Okay, so one of the things you could do as you're shading, as I started doing this, I noticed that the neck is really grayed out. Part of the problem I'm having while I'm drawing this, and I'll pull this back so you can see it while I'm looking. When I tilt this up to my eye level, the shadows that fall across this are very intense. So there's a lot of areas that are very, very dark gray. Now, one option you have as you're going through this is you could do your areas of gray first, and as long as your details are on top of that gray and darker, you can go back and add your details later. So if you really want to take and do some shading in a spot and then come back, really 80% of learning how to draw is trusting your brain and understanding how it works. For those of us with attention deficit, it's not uncommon for us to bounce around. In fact, it's very uncommon for me, being that I am so ADHD, to do a single ear, try to finish it off and move on to another ear. It's just, it becomes difficult. So a lot of times I'll work on an area for a little bit and then I'll go back. And each time I see it, it is kind of like seeing it for the first time. And it kind of refreshes your viewpoint of that object. Like you're like, oh, hey, that isn't quite right. Okay, what can I do to fix that part? That's how your brain, or at least that's how my brain ends up processing information. All right. Now, if your brain is like, I can do this one spot and move on and it looks awesome, and then I can do the next spot, cool. So trust what your head is telling you. Now, if you have completely finished the object that you started with, grab a different object. Find something that's a little more complicated, something that will hold your interest. If that's a Pokemon, so be it. Do another Pokemon. Do a Meowth. I've never understood why that thing can talk. It's never made sense to me. But yeah, just keep having at it. See what you can do in this time period that we have. And honestly, we're going to do this a few times over the course of this week. So, I mean, we've done it, we're doing it here on Monday, but we're also going to probably do it again on Wednesday and on Friday, just so you guys get this experience of really slowing down and trying to use those realism rules. And then after that, you will have those rules. You know, they'll be part of your, oh, I messed up, I'm going too fast, or I messed up, I'm not looking at it enough. You'll be able to check yourself. And really, in life, that is the most important step to learning is having you being able to go, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? What should I do over? I mean, everybody's like, oh, I hate teachers. Okay. But your next option, which is the more important option, is how do you teach yourself? Because believe it or not, someday you will not be in school and it'll be a bad winter and your snowblower is going to break down and you're going to be like, what do I do now? What do I do now? If I start shoveling, I'll have a heart attack. Well, maybe not. You might be young. So at that point, I have to teach myself how to fix a snowblower. I know. It always gets very dark with me. There we go. All right. So you find out as you're shading that if you make a mistake and you've drawn lightly to begin with, you can sometimes make that mistake shadowed. And since my character or my head is in so much shadow here, and I was a little short on the jawline, I'm going to go back to that, shade that in there, make it look like it was intentionally the right size because now I can. So yeah, sometimes shading is a happy thing, and a thing that can be used to fix mistakes. Now I'm starting off softly with this shading here, and I'm just slowly bringing up the dark. I have other areas that I have to also do that into. So I want them to match up if they contain the same value. The thing is, you can always make it darker later, but it's really hard in a lot of cases to make anything lighter, even with just pencil line. Okay. So did that help anybody? Anybody feel like slowing down, drawing just a part of something, helped your skill level hop up a little? Because we're going to be doing this for a couple of days. So with that in mind, find your objects. So next time we have class, you have something to draw, whether it's something like a dragon, or if it's something a little more simple, or if you're feeling particularly spicy and tough, something crazy like that. This is not impossible. It's just a little tedious because there would be a point where you would have to start counting. Did I draw that one, 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 that one? Oh, I moved them apart. How do I get it back to its original thing? So yeah, object doesn't matter as much. The stuff I want you to stay away from, like I said, is way too simple stuff. You know, I got that. Can I draw that? Yeah, but what are you going to do for the other 52 minutes of class? You know, you got to make it a challenge. I wouldn't mind doing one of the guitars behind me, but it's real hard to show the guitar and me drawing at the same time. So I would need like a split screen or something crazy like that. All right. So you got till Wednesday to find a couple more objects. If you come across a few you're not sure of, just kind of set them aside, so that you know you got them for next time that we're together. And really, that's about it for today. I'm gonna let you guys go a couple minutes early, so you can go look for those objects. I will see you later. Have a good night. Stay out of trouble. Can't stay out of trouble. Don't get caught.